Good morning, everyone. Today is the Sunday, 23rd of August, 2020. And today my little talk will be called A Nasty Little Talk. And you'll see why in no time. I'm reading a book, and I'm not the only one because you've heard about this. Mary L. Trump for Leah. Too Much and Never Enough. How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. And you're probably familiar with that book, even if you're not reading it. And I'm reading it from cover to cover. And a lot of the things that you find in the book were previously known. A lot of investigations have been done, particularly by Mr. What was their name? Mr. Crunish and Fisher of the Washington Post about Donnie's childhood and adolescence. And so we already knew these things. A lot of things also came out of some research done by the New York Times, and from documents that we know now were provided by Mary Trump, 19 cases of documents that were used by the New York Times in the 2018 article about how the family worked on the financial level, with a lot of swindling over tax evasion and so on, and nothing that would surprise us. But anyway, in that book, first she explains, I find little that she didn't tell also in the interviews that you may have seen on different channels and papers and so on. I think I've tried to watch them all that she gave on television, and maybe you read also the quite interesting interview by Edward Luce of the Financial Times recently. Revealing probably is that he didn't have much to add to the review of the book he had done before, just a little remarks about, as is usual with him, about what they order at the restaurant and what they eat or not eat, and he puts the bill, how much it costs to eat what they're eating while they're talking. But anyway, a passage here, page 188. When I finally realized that my grandfather didn't care what I accomplished or contributed, and that my own unrealistic expectations were paralyzing me, I still felt that only a grand gesture would set it right. It wasn't enough for me to volunteer at an organization helping Syrian refugees. I had to take Donald down. So, at the end of a passage where I said they're still very ambitious in their family, and her big feat would be to bring down the Donny. That would be her contribution to the world. But now to the title of my little expose. After the election, Donald called his big sister, Marianne, ostensibly to find out how he was doing. Of course, he thought he already knew the answer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made the call in the first place. He merely wanted her to confirm very strongly that he was doing a fantastic job. When she said, "Not that good," Donald immediately went on offense. "That's nasty," he said. And why do I quote that? Because he said "you're nasty" to his sister. And you know the guy by now, after nearly 4 years. When he only has to say about somebody that that person is nasty, it's obviously because he doesn't have anything else to say. And that's what he uses for his sister. So that's the context in which I believe you should put that nasty that he applied to Kamala Harris. that's because Donnie doesn't know what else to say about her. And that's wonderful for her, as we know. Otherwise, he would lash on this or that, and ugly, fat woman, and so on. The usual its usual way of appreciation for women who has as Mary Trump suggests, and it, as you could already find in the book by Stormy Daniels, when a woman is not too much interested in his advances, then she becomes totally ugly and very fat automatically. So that's good for Kamala, that he only has nasty to say. And as you noticed also recently, who does he lash on? On Obama, the old fixation, the old his old obsession of deconstructing whatever. That's what Omarosa Manigo had noticed. What is his program? And then she said in her book, to remove entirely anything that Obama has done before him. And why? Because he's a and little dots. It's not more complicated with that. Once the explanation for Donny, we all got it in August of 2017, 3 years ago. It's been an anniversary of the death of Heather Heyer. We remember her when he said there were good guys on both sides of the riot that had been brought there in Charlottesville by the neo-Nazis. He hasn't got much to say about Biden. It looks like the Hunter Biden thing is a bit exhausted. But if you look at what I wrote in those days, when there were revelations about the famous July call to the Ukrainian President Zelensky, you may remember what I said at that point. I said this is not good for Donald, but that's not good for Joe either, because of that Hunter Biden thing in Ukraine. That's not good for his image. It's gone a bit out of the picture. There are other things in the news, but why? Because his speech at the convention was beautiful. I already said that. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. I would like him to have been godfather to some of my kids. It's not powerful, he's not charismatic, but he's a nice guy. And so what people were afraid of, that he would mumble, jumble, that he would stumble, that he would stutter, that he would get lost in what he was saying. He didn't do that, right? I hope it's because he drank less coffee. When people drink less coffee, they're much more articulate. They don't realize that. But it's a nasty little drug we have there with coffee. But anyway, he did a good job. Hunter, that's the weak point, right? Okay, I've got kids. Kids don't listen to everything that you tell them. They don't listen to all the good advice you may give them. But you can also get mad at your kids if they do something really wrong. And I had a conversation recently with one of my sons who has a good memory of some time he did something really wrong. And I told him, you don't do that again. And he didn't. Like 35 years later. You can tell kids what's right and what's wrong. And just being on the board of a company in Ukraine where you collect $50,000 fee every month just for being the son of the person who's your father, that's not good. That's not good. And I thought it was an error from the Democrats to take that one thing as the main item for the impeachment trial, I knew they would come up on the other side, David Nunes and people like that, Jordan. They would come up with, and Hunter Biden, who did, etc., who justified that there was an investigation by Rudy about what really happened over there. It was not a good idea. It was not a good idea for the Democrats to have that one item, and the other one was an obstruction to the Congress activity or whatever. And there was, come on guys, I mean there's a million things you could do in that file. I made a file and there was already a million things you could put there, but they were in a hurry to go to their presidential campaign, and they wanted to be quick about that, and they made honestly they made a mess. It allowed people like Adam Schiff to make like speeches. They will go down in history books, and it allowed Mr. Vindman, Colonel Vindman, to show what a hero he is, and we could see Madame Jovanovic to see what good ambassador she is, and Miss Fiona Hill, what a civil servant, exemplary civil servant she is. But apart from that, they didn't do the job of the impeachment, which they could have, with all these things that were in the file. My talk about Kamala Harris being nasty, that's very good for you, lady. That means he has nothing really to criticize about what you're doing, and that's an asset for the future. And I wish you well. I'm not 100% fan of Kamala Harris. I lived for 12 years in California. There were better ways in California to be the attorney general than the way she did. But at the same time, she's a no-nonsense person. It looks like you can trust her. I wouldn't mind having her as a friend. With Joe, it's a bit more, and for the reason I just said, I don't think he's the kind of father that's needed for the nation. Who would I choose as a father for the nation? I would choose Reverend Al Sharpton. When he talks to you, he talks like the grandfather that everybody wished to have, and he assumes that you're a good grandfather as well, that everybody in the world is a good grandfather. You may remember that when Michael Cohen was indicted, that he did something. It was not a first page in the newspapers, but he wanted to be seen having lunch with Al Sharpton, and Sharpton was interviewed. Why did you do that? Why did you want that? And the idea was a kind of redemption. I underlined also it was showing that you were on the other side, that you were on the Black Lives Matter side, and not on the KKK side, not on the Confederate flag side, not on the Steve Bannon side. I'll finish with that. People talk a lot about the fact that all the campaign chiefs were in jail or have been exempted from jail for some reason or other. It is I use nasty in a different way. It's a nasty lot there that he had around him, and I think it's not finished because we've talked about high crimes and bribery, treason, high crimes and misdemeanors. We haven't talked about intelligence yet, about what happened there. And when you look at the recent report from the Senate on the influence of Russia on the election, you see that there's a lot of things there where the word intelligence, espionage are not used, but you think that's because they are blackened out. A lot of things are blackened out, like the chapter about a possible compromise in Moscow. People say, well, in that report, they don't talk at all about what Steele said in the report about compromise. Well, there's a whole section called compromise and possibly in Moscow, but it's blackened out. So maybe it's there. Anyway, have a nice Sunday, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.